Hi, I'm Cheryl Sleboda, and I'm a fiber artist and quilter from Plainfield, Illinois. And I recently found this kit for making your very own espadrille shoes, which, if you're not familiar with what those are, they are shoes which are made on a base of jute. So the kit comes with these pre-formed and pre-made shoe bases, which makes making the customized tops even easier. So the kit that I used came with patterns for the different sizes based on how big you want your shoes to be. So these little toddler shoes have different sizes. This is a size 5, and so what I would do is, out of my pattern, I would want to choose and cut out the size 5. And I did that already. And what you're going to do is pick your own fabrics for the tops and for the heel, and you're going to want to cut a lining and a top fabric. The top fabric can be made out of a heavier fabric. In this case, I have like a canvas duck, and then my lining is just with a regular cotton. And so you'll use your patterns, and you're going to cut 2 of each, and you're also going to use the pattern for a stabilizer, and this is a stabilizer that's already has the glue on the back of the fabric, and you're going to iron that to the heel. And once you have that ironed on, then you're ready to sew. You're going to put your right sides together, and we're going to go and sew these over on the machine. So what I'm going to do is get this lined up on my machine. And I'm going to use the markings on the machine itself to tell me where that 3/8 of an inch seam is. And so I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of stitches to start. And then I'm actually going to use the reverse and back it up just to give that opening a little bit of stability. And actually, I'm also going to do the same thing at each one of the corners. And so I'm just going to back it up, and I'm going to move my presser foot, and I'm just going to lift the presser foot with the needle down, and that's going to keep my turn nice and even. There we go. All right, so there we go. Reverse. Needle down, and then I'm going to lift up and turn. Remember to reverse a little bit just to give your corners a little bit of stability. Turn. We're almost to the end. There we go. And we're going to leave ourselves probably 2 inches of opening, because we're always going to go back and so then when we're done, we're just going to clip those off. All right. Now when you are ready to turn this, you're going to actually clip even closer, probably to about 1/8 of an inch, between 1/4 and 1/8 of an inch to the seam line. So I'm going to go ahead and do the toe part, and we're going to do the same thing. And I like to start this on the side. I don't want to see my opening either in the toe front or in the toe in the back. That's the part that's closest to your leg. And I'm just going to just find a spot here. Again, 3/8 of an inch. Going to sew a couple of stitches and then back up, just to give that initial opening some room. And this part where I'm going to curve it, I'm just going to go slow so that I can make my curve in one long seam. And again, these corners, when we start turning, that's going to be where there's a lot of pressure, and that's why I like to back up with the reverse. So here we go. And just to give a, there we go. All right, so this portion of the sewing is done. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and clip, and then I'm going to start making my turn. It's gonna be a little bit of work to get these turned right side out. And what we're gonna do is use a like a pointer tool in order to turn, a turning tool to help push out all of the corners. But don't forget, you're gonna make sure you clip all your corners and trim that seam down before you start. So here I've got this partially already started. Now we've got the toe. You're also gonna wanna press this once you get it. And again, we're gonna just use that turning tool, and that's going to give us a nice pointy end inside that toe. So you're gonna do the same thing for the heel, and then we're going to have pieces that are turned right side out. I've already ironed these so that they're nice and flat, and I've also taken my machine and stitched the openings closed. So you're gonna wanna be able to stitch those openings closed so that you're ready with your two pieces. Now, my pattern tells me that I want to mark a line to match up my heel on the lining side, and we're going to use a marking tool, and we're going to do that, and we're going to measure 5/8 of an inch in and make an inch and a quarter long. So I've already done that here, and then what you're going to do is to take the heel, and you're going to curve the ends so that it makes one continuous loop. This is with the lining side up, and you're gonna just take a pin, and you're going to pin these so that they stay together. And then you're gonna take this whole unit and sew across the top of the toe so that you get the top of the shoe. All right? And I've already done that here, and what I've done is I've actually made two seams. I've done one very close and then one a little bit further away. So then you just need to take one of your shoe bases, and before I start sewing or pinning, what I do is I take my shoe form and I twist it. And the twisting makes sure that you're able to soften the jute up a little bit so that it's easier to sew. So that's just a tip for you to be able to sew with it a little bit easier. So here is the fun part. You get to attach your custom top to the base of the shoe. And we're going to take these pins, and we're going to start by pinning the top of the shoe first, the very tip of the shoe. And then you're going to take a second pin, and you're going to want to pin the very back of the shoe. So now you've got the front and the back pinned, and now we're going to pin the side. And you want the two sides of the shoes to be very even with each other. You don't want one side of the shoe to be more forward than the other, so we're going to pin those. Now the back of the shoe should fill in fairly tightly, and you shouldn't have to do much easing with the back of the shoe. But the front of the shoe, depending on the size, you may have extra room in the toe, and you may have to ease that around the front in order for it to fit properly. So if I were to just match this up here, you'll see that I have this big gap here at the front of the toe. And you want to make sure that you ease that in so that these little folds disappear. I've already done that, and I've pinned the entire shoe, and this is what it should look like when you are ready. So the next thing you do is you're going to take your cording, and this is just cotton cording, and you're going to wax this, and I'm going to then go ahead and give this a nice big knot. I always start with sewing at the side of the shoe, right here in this corner, and I'm going to bury it between the 2 layers of jute. And I'm just going to show you, this is using a blanket stitch. Now, if you find that this is particularly hard to pull or grip, then there's these needle pullers that you can use to pull, and that'll help give you a grip on this needle. Sometimes you can find it's easier to use a curved needle, and I do have curved needles here. So if you find that a curved needle helps you get access to that easier, that's another option for you. So you're just going to go about 1/4 of an inch away from your original stitch, push your stitch up, and you're going to wrap your thread around your needle, but you're going to stay away from the various pins. So, and then if you want to, you can take the next pin out just to give yourself some room. And that's your first blanket stitch. So then you start again into the jute, up through the canvas, and then go ahead and pull that up. So what you're going to do is go all the way around the shoe. I've already got that done. It's a very easy technique to go all the way around. And then you can customize the shoes. I did some embroidery on a couple of these this pair before I actually sewed everything together. And I actually have just a pair with regular canvas duck. You can also use colored thread in the part where you're sewing the shoe to the base. And then you can also quilt them. So I think the options are unlimited when it comes to making your own customized pair of espadrilles.